A while ago, me and many other people on YouTube made a video discussing and announcing kind of the reality of a Witcher television series being worked on by Netflix. And there has been some progress, obviously, within making the show, but there is a bit of news that has been released on their current state and people's involvements within the show's creation. So to start off and answer the question that most people are going to be wondering, where is the show at currently? So you can kind of gauge how long you're going to be waiting for this to come to Netflix. They are mid-world building and casting right now. So they're in the writing process, and this was announced by Lauren Hissrich, who's the showrunner, and she's worked on things like Daredevil and Power and Marvel Defenders and stuff like that. So big shows, big name shows, decently rated as well. So she definitely has a background in this kind of stuff. She's someone that is not a bad choice for having run a shows. Now, I'm not personally a fan of any of those shows, but at the end of the day, it's got to go to somebody, and if it's going to go to someone, you want it to go to a person who has a bit of experience in the industry. So this isn't the worst thing. And she announced that it's mid-writing, world building and casting, so they aren't filming, and this isn't far along in production, but it is happening. So that's kind of the important part. And along with that, she's working with people who are very well tied in to The Witcher, most of note being Andrzej Sapkowski, who wrote the Witcher books. He wrote every single one of them, and he's going to be a consultant in all of this. He's going to be looking into things and helping them along with the process, and that is ideal, right? You couldn't ask for a better person to help you out with making a Witcher TV series than the guy who wrote the books. And then they also have two names, Tomek Baginski and Jarek Sokow, hopefully I pronounced those correctly, who worked on the Witcher video games and some of the intros and writing that went into those, which those are excellent in their own right. And if you don't know, the Witcher video games aren't directly adapted portions of the books. They are original content that is based in the Witcher series with the Witcher characters, if that does make sense. So we have great writers coming from the video game series, which is renowned for it, specifically The Witcher 3, and then you have the guy who wrote the books and has the base material working on this, as well as the showrunner being someone who does have a lot of experience in the television industry and specifically worked a ton with Netflix, working on many of their most popular shows. So it's looking good in terms of people who are working on it. And on top of that, I thought it was worth note that there was a whole kind of debacle and an idea that many people were coming up with that this would be watered down and it would be kind of mainstreamed and pushed along and not given the attention and care that it would need. Well, I would debate that just from the names of people who are working on it. If you just said, oh, Lauren Hissrich is working on it because she doesn't have a huge background within the Witcher series, you could see how that'd be a possibility. But with people who have worked on the video games and the original writer being here to overlook things and help along with the process, I highly doubt that we're going to see something like this being watered down. On top of that, Lauren Hissrich did say that she gives her word that she will not water this down, that it will be given the attention and care it needs. And she was showing pictures on Twitter of her research going into it and having the books there, just to kind of give people the idea that she does care about this and she wants to make it a big thing. And on top of that, she has to care about her reputation. If you can't just take her word for it, the Witcher series is being kind of put up there. I believe even Forbes said that this could be the next Game of Thrones. Obviously, that's the comparisons between Game of Thrones and The Witcher 3. They're fantasy to some extents, but Game of Thrones is much more, at least the earlier seasons, much more tied into reality and supposed to be a gritty drama, whereas The Witcher is based on a lot of European and Polish folklore and fantasy, and it's much more, fantastical. It's not something where there is obviously the heavy drama and very gritty realities within The Witcher, and there's a message behind a lot of this stuff, and that's a good reason for many people to love the series, is because it does have portions of reality in it, but it also is given the aesthetic of a very fantasy-based series. So there's kind of a line between that, but regardless, they're mainly comparing it because they're two fantasy shows that one has happened and one is going to happen, and that's where they're drawing those comparisons. So she has a bit of a reputation there, and she's acknowledged that people are saying that, so she knows that there's something going behind this, that this is a big deal, and that whenever Netflix releases it, you know, it's going to have an enormous following. And you may think like, oh, The Witcher is nowhere near the size of Game of Thrones. Well, before Game of Thrones was a television show, I would argue that their current state's pre-television show, The Witcher, is larger. Like right now, before the television show is out, The Witcher series is a bigger series than the Game of Thrones series was. It has the video games to bolster it, multiple attempts at movies, many short films, an attempt at a Polish television series, and all. Although those didn't turn out well, there was a reason they were attempted. And on top of that, there was an attempt at a Witcher game before the original Witcher, made by CD Projekt Red. There was another attempt even before that, a much older video game. So there have been people testing and trying at The Witcher and trying to adapt the book's writings for years and years and years now. There's a reason people love it, and it has a huge following, even now, through the video games and through the books. So there is a lot of pressure going into making this TV series huge, because there is already a large following before the television series exists, an enormous following. So there's a reality to that she does understand that there's a pressure to it, and she's going to want to adapt it to the best of her abilities and not just push along some mainstream kind of watered down version of The Witcher that most people who would be watching this video wouldn't want to see, because you're into The Witcher. Okay, so I did like 5 minutes of rambling after that, so I'm just gonna cut that out and give you the short version of that to keep this more of a news video than a discussion video. So it's likely gonna be an adaptation of the books and not like the video games were, which was kind of a new story and a new portion of The Witcher inside of the Witcher universe. It's probably going to be an adaptation of the books directly, and with some little delineations like you see with the Game of Thrones books to the television series, and like the Lord of the Rings books to the Lord of the Rings movies, but ultimately just an adaptation of the writings from Andrzej Sapkowski into a TV series. That's what we're probably going to see. So let me know your thoughts below. What do you think about this? What do you think about the writers and the people involved? How do you think it should be handled? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.